Thanks for stopping by. I'd like to preface this video by saying it is not a knitting tutorial, but it means to have something playing in the background while you work on your own knitting project. If you're like me and really enjoy having something on while you work, sometimes the content you like is very visually engaging and you're several hours in and haven't gotten nearly as far along in your project as you would have liked to. So that's where I come in. If you're new here, welcome, and if you're returning, welcome back. We are continuing with the Mitt the Family pattern. From last time's episode, you saw that I pretty much gave up on trying to knit with the DPNs and a 3 DPN round because I keep getting this weird jog because I have to start a new DPN with a purl stitch, and you know, I was like, this is kind of weird, so I migrated them to 2 DPNs. And then I was like, you know, I think I have a better solution. I was going to do magic loop, but I was looking through my tackle box. I have this tackle box of circular needles, all fixed circulars, some knickknacks that are knitting related, a lot of embroidery thread, and all sorts of goodies that don't always fit in my notions kit. So I decided I'd look through here to see if I did have a circular needle set that would work where I wouldn't need magic loop. I know that I have a size 6 that I used to do my hats last year, and then I looked through some more and I realized that I had bought some zings that are 9-inch US size 6 that I had planned to use for socks and maybe some mittens in the future, that I picked up from an Etsy shop that's an aftermarket retailer that I really enjoy getting a lot of my knitting needles from. And so I was very happy to see that. So for the first part of today, I'm going to transfer my mitten that I'm starting to the size 9, or the 9-inch size 6 circulars, and see how this goes. The pattern does not say to use circulars, but I'm hoping that'll help me avoid this weird gap that I have if I'm just continuing through without having to switch needles and creating slack. And we'll see. This is the first one we're doing, and then of course later on we're going to do the second mitten. This is for me. If you're just now tuning into this episode, check out the playlist, because when we started the cast on and everything prior to, you'll see how I got this far. And as you can tell, right now I have 2 different colors. I have a nice kind of light teal slash kind of seafoamy green, depending on how you look at it. And then I have a lilac, a dark lilac on top. And this is just some de-stashing I'm doing with yarn that I knit some baby blankets with earlier. And this is Paint Box Baby DK, which is 100% acrylic, and it's very soft. So let's go ahead and do that. So we're still knitting, we're still working our pattern. I'm just, as I go, I'm going to be adding everything to my circular needles that I have yet to open. So this will be a fun time to do this first. We'll see. They're not very big at all, and very, very teeny tiny, so I'm just going to be knitting around. And I had originally wanted some smaller circulars for my socks that I was working on. I have a pair of rib knit socks that I was making as a birthday gift. Now it's kind of turned into a hope and pray that it's ready by Christmas gift. But I was using a size 10 inch size 2 US circulars, and somebody actually recently commented on my last episode that I had with that and asked me what I was using. And so they're the Knitter's Pride Nova Platina that I was using for that before I finished up. So we're gonna go ahead and do what we need to do in our pattern. Double check that I am doing what I need to do. Okay, so making sure this all looks good. These all look like yes, okay. Sometimes it's tricky when you start your round, but hopefully you guys can see. Excuse me. So I hope you're having something went down the wrong windpipe there, or the the windpipe in general. I feel a little itchy. I hope you're having a good day wherever you are. At the time, I've just found out that my job will be continuing to stay working remote for at least the first part of the end of the year. So that's something to think about, at least for me. I'm happy. I was really worried that they would want everybody to come back too soon, and we're still kind of, at least in the US, are still pretty much in the thick of everything with the pandemic, and some of my coworkers and I agreed that we weren't comfortable being in a large group environment because we have already seen a lot of people who have zero disregard for the current situation, and it's rather alarming to be well, honestly, I wouldn't say to be expected. I was hoping more people would understand that, we have to, as we like to say, teamwork makes the dream work. We gotta do our part, do our share to make sure things go the way we want them to as quickly as possible. But we are seeing that a lot of people don't think it's that big of a deal, which it is. It very much is. So I'm glad that I can kind of keep that at bay, at least in my own home environment, for longer than I had originally thought. So that is good. I'm glad my company has decided. I know it's a tough decision, but I'm glad they made it. Very glad. So we'll see how well this works. This is a small, since this is a 9-inch, it might be too small, and I can always transfer it to the 16-inch length needles that I was using with some of the hats that I knit last year, because I can do the magic loop then for sure if it's just a little too long for what I need it to be. But I'm hoping this works fine because it's kind of like a sock size. So this size is designed for smaller knits, and this is definitely a small knit. And a purl here. So yes, I will say, I'm warning you now, my battery is in the red, which is weird because I literally just put it in last week, or not last week, hasn't even been a whole week yet. The last time I was working on this project, but it's almost dead. I think it's the heat. This room is unbearably hot, and when it's super hot, sometimes I think my camera heats up too much and kind of drains the battery a little bit. Or a lot of it, I guess. But we'll be changing you up soon, but hopefully I can at least finish this round before the battery dies. So we shall see. And then I'm reserving my stitch marker for the actual end of the round, because when it was on DPNs I couldn't actually place my marker at the end because it would just fall off the needle. So at least this time I can now kind of have it where I need it to be. Alright, so we've successfully added everything to our cute little circular needle set. So, not needle set, circular needles, fixed circular needles. I'm going to use my pen to mark off that we completed that round. We're about halfway before we had to start doing anything else. So let me go ahead and do what I need to do to put my stitch marker in place so I can switch out this battery. Battery has been replaced. We are going to continue with the round that we were working on before I had to switch you out. This one is an easy one to go through, so now that we're in our circulars, let's see how well this performs. I pulled really tight at the beginning to hopefully establish more tension there where I was having that gap from the purling on the beginning of my DPN. And I will say that it would be easier had it been knitting around, because there is literally a round where all I do is purl. So it does make it hard to justify saying, oh, I could just kind of like in the beginning when I was doing my rib stitches, to have everything situated on the needles, so I'm always knitting on the first stitch of the needle, but when the round is only purling, there is no way I cannot purl, except if I got really fancy and learned how to do the knitting where you do like the backwards knitting, so you're always essentially knitting, but you're making a purl stitch. There's a way to do it. There's a way to put your needle in where you don't have to bring your yarn in front, but I don't think it's worth, well, I'm sure it is a valuable thing to learn, but for time's sake, for convenience sake, and the fact that I do have tools to make this work better for me, I'll just switch to something I know will solve that problem, which is getting some circulars, so I never have to switch my needle out. Of course, when I start shaping the thumb, I will have to go back to my DPNs, but honestly, I don't know what to expect when I get to that part. I haven't shaped a thumb before, but I'm hoping it'll go pretty smoothly. I've reserved stitches to do like a heel and stuff for socks, so I imagine it would be something similar to that. But we're gonna find out very soon, because we're almost done with this segment. But as I was saying before my battery died, yes, we are going to be, we as in me, well, let me use some proper grammar because I should be trying to do that. My coworkers and I are looking forward to continuing to practice social distancing for the sake of ourselves and our loved ones and just humans in general that we may encounter if we happen to be asymptomatic. We wouldn't want to get anyone ill, nor would we want to get ill by hanging around people who haven't been doing what they need to do on purpose, versus those who are trying their best and just happen to be at a place where they're more vulnerable than normal and are exposed to something. But yes, we're having like a impromptu meeting in the morning, so I was already very busy today and yesterday, so I had a feeling that whatever would happen might just make it not impossible, but very challenging for me to film tomorrow night, when tomorrow is more of my free night, because I don't have as heavy as a load of work to typically, because I'm not directly supervising anybody that day. So it offers me up an early, well, not an early, but the person who I usually, who's that? Oh. The person I usually supervise on Tuesdays and Wednesdays has a shift that's well after my normal day. So I stay around for them, and most of the time it does require me to be like alert even through the evening when I'm getting dinner ready and stuff like that. So the fact that Thursdays are when I don't have anybody in, I can devote my time to just my own work, and then I'm off at the end of the day when we're supposed to be off for the day. So that makes it nice. But because of the current decision by our company to go this route, there are probably going to be a lot of questions about what the future looks like, at least until 2021. So I had to be ready for that. So depending on how much I have to do to prepare, it might be another late day for me then, and I'm already very tired. I was on the fence. I'm like, well, tomorrow might be okay. I can film tomorrow and work on this. But after getting the news that we're not gonna be in person for a lot longer, I was like, oh, okay, well, there might be some other stuff coming my way. And then I got the email that we're gonna have a meeting, so I'm like, yeah, there probably is gonna be similar stuff coming my way for sure. So I was like, I might not have the energy to work on this tomorrow, which means no filming, which means I would have to wait another couple days before I could see you guys again. So, but we're doing okay. It's getting I don't know if it's gonna rain or not. It's kind of cloudy. It was sunny earlier, so I thought maybe I could just live a little bit more in the natural light before I had to turn on my lamp and everything, but might not be the case. Might have to bust it out a little bit earlier than I thought. But that is one thing I do, and of course a lot of you who have been here for a while know how I feel about the weather, but one of the things I do really enjoy about the summertime, at least here in the States, Northern Hemisphere, is that the days are longer. The daylight, you get a lot more daylight, and we have this thing with the daylight saving time. We roll back in the fall, we spring ahead in the spring, and it kind of just throws you all out of whack. But that's one thing I do enjoy, is knowing that there's some sunshine when I'm off of work. So if I do want to do something fun, I know it's not going to be pitch black by the time I walk out of the building, or in this case, log out of my computer. So I'm really hoping that in the next couple filmings here, we'll get to the shaping of the thumb, because this is going to be interesting, and that's what I'm really most intrigued about, is because I haven't done that before. But let me know in the comments, how far are you since the last time you saw me upload as I was working on this with you guys? I imagine everyone's already done, because I only film for this project while I work on it, so you're seeing everything in step. There's nothing that's jumped ahead, and if there will be, I'll let you know. Let me get my stitch marker in the spot I need it to be. Mark here. Alright, I have 2 more rounds to go before the next part of the pattern. So let's just keep it going. This will probably be the last round I knit in this lighting, because it's starting to mess with my eyes, because everything's kind of the same tone, like the lighting of the room, the color of the yarn against my skin. It's all very one tone. That makes it hard to see. But I kind of like as weird as it sounds, I kind of like straining my eyes, because then I feel like I'm becoming more like a cat, where my night vision improves, or my dusky vision improves. Because sometimes I can navigate the house if I just wait a little bit for my eyes to adjust, and I can pick up on shapes and stuff, and it's pretty cool. Except for this one time I think part of it was that I was really sleepy, and I had a lot on my mind, and I woke up in the middle of the night and I had to go downstairs to, I think, get some water or something, and I completely missed the last I completely missed the last 2 steps to the first floor, and just totally wiped out in the dark. And I thought for sure I broke my knee or something, because I did land on my knees, and coming down with that much force, just thinking I thought I counted all the stairs I needed, because I usually count how many stairs till I get to what part of the staircase, and I just was not obviously counting or thinking, and fell. And I thought my partner would have heard because they're kind of a light sleeper, but I guess it was just that point in time when they were just in a deep sleep and didn't even know that I almost died. So, oh, I went to work the next day, and surprisingly, I didn't have any bruises on my knees. I didn't fracture anything or break anything, but I came down so hard. I am surprised. I'm surprised I didn't have anything worse than just feeling a little sore. But isn't that scary? Like, the older you get, the more times when you fall, you think it's like this is the last time I'm gonna be alive on this earth. Like, I'm gonna fall so hard and I'm not gonna get up because I just am too big and too brittle boned now to be able to survive any kind of intense impact. And falling is so scary too, because the older I am, ideally the more balanced I am and the more aware I am of what I'm doing and where I'm going. So like even the thought of like I almost lost my balance like sends my heart going a mile a minute, and I just feel like my stomach leap out of my chest. It just comes up and I have like this visceral reaction to almost wiping out, especially in the wintertime here in the Midwest where it's icy and it's cold. I usually do like my penguin shuffle when I'm walking outside because I really don't want to fall, and really don't want to fall on my way to work, because then if I'm all dirty and stuff, there's no way I can just like call in and be like, yo, I just died, so I'm gonna change my clothes real quick and then come back and hopefully things go better this time. They'd be like, are you serious? Like, come on, just keep walking. So I don't even want to risk it, so I usually just shuffle around when it gets cold and icy. So I'm like, nope, no thanks. Okay, alright. I said I was going to only do one more, but I literally only have one more before we can start doing the thumb, so I'm going to do it. I'm going to do the last one, and then I'll stop filming so I can put my light on. I feel like I'm just almost there. But you know how it is, right? You have a stitch and you're like, okay, one more row. You're like, oh, I'm almost there. I can just do one more row. And then it's like 3 hours later and you're like, oh, that's not what I meant to do. But yes, don't like falling. But who does, really? Unless you're like falling into a bunch of pillows or like a foam pit, and like you're jumping into an ocean or a swimming pool where it's like planned falling, fun time falling, not you're gonna fall and you might have to go to the hospital because you weren't paying attention. But it's so funny. I remember this one time when you would think there's sometimes earlier signs in my relationship with my partner where we're both like, yeah, that should have been the point when we're like, yeah, this person's kind of weird and I don't know how I feel about them. But my good friend, or our good friend, I was introduced to him through my partner because they were already like a trio before I busted up their guy gang or whatever. But our good friend who moved to California was walking with us one day, and then our other friend who lives in Ohio was with us, and this was like back in college, like early stages of our relationship. And a friend lived by two stores. Like his studio apartment was by two grocery stores, and because we magically had all this freedom. Well, I magically had all this freedom, but they had a freedom for at least a year because they were all sophomores when I was freshman. And so part of like our cool geeky nerdiness was just to go to the store and like buy ice cream and sorbet and junk food, and then go to our friend's studio apartment that he was renting and just watch movies and TV and eat the junk food really late at night, like random weeknights, like just doing dumb stuff. And I mean, that's literally all we do. Like, our whole relationship has been around food. Like, our friend who's in Ohio, our friend who's in California, like all of that has just been food stuff. But one day we went to one of the stores and it was late at night and it was open 24 hours. So we went to the store, got our stuff, and then my partner at the time was like kind of a skateboarder, not active anymore because of where we were for school, but still would like think they were cool, I guess. Like, they still had tricks and stuff that they could do, and they weren't far from, they weren't that far out from high school, so it's like, yeah, that makes sense. But they tried to do like a trick off of, without a skateboard, a trick off of like a pile of beauty bark or mulch in the parking lot where like the little median things are between cars, and they totally slipped and fell, and I just couldn't stop laughing. Like, their pain of like trying to be a hot shot just sent me, I was dying. And then they're like, oh, you're so nice, like how thoughtful of you to be concerned about me, and laugh, like very sarcastic, like, wow, thanks. And I was just like, so funny. But then not long after that, we went to visit our friend who lives in California now was working at a different grocery store in their neighborhood, and we surprised them at work one day because we went all the way to their neighborhood and it took a long time. And when we got there, we were hungry, so we had dinner at this Burger King, and it was literally in the same plaza as the grocery store a friend worked at, but it was like across the way. So we ate, and then we were walking back to the grocery store where a friend worked, and I was kind of standing behind my partner, and they didn't see me. And then they were talking to our friend who lived at the other place where the other grocery store was, and they just went whack, and they threw their hand back and just decked me in the face. I didn't bleed or anything, but I started crying. I was laughing because it was like an accident, but I was crying because it hurt so bad. And it was like the weirdest reaction because they didn't realize they hit me so hard. They're like, what the heck? And I was like, oh, my nose, oh my gosh. Like, so I guess we're even now. They punched me, kind of, sort of, and I laughed at them for falling. But I should ask them if they remember that now, because we were just like randomly talking about stories from when we were younger, and remember that time when this happened or that happened. And now I need to ask, do you remember the time when I laughed at you for falling in the parking lot? And do you remember the time you punched me in the face? That's our relationship, just weird. Okay, so we now have all of our rounds that we need before we can move on to the next step. So this means that I'm going to turn my light on. It's bright! Yay! I was gonna say sunlight, I wish. I have some light, not sunlight, some light. Alright, so let's take a look at what I need to do now without revealing the pattern to you, because if you are not knitting along with us, I do strongly suggest that you go ahead and click in the description box, because you will see the link to the Ravelry pattern by Neish Designs. I mentioned earlier, it's called Mitt the Family. I may not have officially specified that's the pattern, but it is Mitt the Family, and it is available for purchase. So you're welcome to join us at any point. You're like, you know what, they look like they're having so much fun without me. I would like to be part of this knit along, so you have all of the chances in the world, because it's always going to be in the description box for the entire duration of this knit along. So at any point you decide you want to join us, please do. Okay, so alright, so now it looks like it's asking me to incorporate my other stitch markers. There are there are 3 stitch markers total for this one. So if you're kind of like, what's the catch? So you need size 6 US DPNs, or as you see, I switched to circulars because I'm finding it easier to maneuver for myself. I no longer have this crazy gap thingy going on, which is nice. You need 3 stitch markers, 1 that's different than 2 because 2 are going to be used to shape the thumb, and you need some DK weight yarn and optimism, maybe. Okay, so I'm looking at the pattern and it's giving me like broken seed stitch. Experts in the comments, let me know if that's what you're picking up on this project as well. Broken seed stitch. Yeah? Alright, so I like to say alright and so a lot, sorry. But I'm going to go ahead and do what it's asking me to do. And hopefully you see me. Oh, almost messed that up. There we go. Do what it wants. Making sure I am where I need to be. Alright, so I'm almost where I need to be. I need to do a little bit more. Get that going. Okay, alright. So now I can do what I need to do there. And what? Okay. Doing my thing. what happened. Okay. My marker just slipped a little bit and it scared me, and it's like, did I accidentally knit into it? Has that ever happened to you where you knit into your stitch marker? It happened to me a couple times, and I thought it was so scary. It's like, why isn't it falling off? What happened? So that wasn't good. So now I feel like I have to be extra careful with my stitch markers. I mean, it probably isn't even that hard to not have that happen. It's just me and the way that I am made. I sometimes struggle with the simplest things, and I just have to remember to be kind to myself. Almost to the end of the round, so that's nice. Yes, I'm feeling very confident about knitting my next pair, or not next pair, my next glove mitten with the circulars, because I don't have the weirdness that I was having, so I really like that. Okay, finished my round. Now what do I do? Okay. Okay. Well, now that's interesting because alright, I need to read this slowly to make sure I don't mess anything up. Okay, I was thinking, alright, so I'm reading this and I'm like, is this my chance to add back my, my seafoamy color? But I can't tell what I'm reading. So it's for me I'll just go ahead and knit it as is, and then once I know for sure how to do it, maybe next time I'll do the contrast again. I'll introduce that contrast again. So let's try it. Okay. Yes. So I am just very curious. What will this look like? I mean, obviously I have a picture of the pattern, but I don't have it with me because I wrote everything out because I don't have access to a printer that's gonna do what I want it to do. So I'm just kind of winging it. I'm just going based off of what is written, and then I will look it up later when I switch back to my home computer. Because during the week I use my work computer, and then on the weekends I switch back to my personal computer, because then that's when I can edit my videos and everything, and it's just easier to only switch once a week than back and forth every night. Because I only have one monitor, so I have to use my home computer's monitor for my work CPU. Doing the stuff. Okay. Wants me to do things, I will do the things. got what I needed. Now we'll continue. Should have yes. All right, so part of this is what I need it to be. I still have to keep moving around the round and pattern. Then I can do the second round. Because really what I just did was add to the thumb some magical way. Just keep going. Man, oh man. Some of this does take a lot. Well, it does take, I was going to say, some of it takes a lot of concentration. For me, it has to, because if we all know anything about how I operate, it's a little fast and loose. And sometimes that's not a good thing. Okay, so now I need to do something else. Okay. Well, that can't be right. Okay, so I think we have a problem here, because it says, without giving it away, when I made the round with the thumb, I had a setup. I did my setup, and then I had round 1, and then it said work in pattern, but round 1 pattern is just doing one thing over and over and over and over again, and then round 2 of the pattern is where there's the variation. But on the thumb, it's saying for round 2 I need to purl, but I need to do the pattern thing if I want it to actually continue to look like it's supposed to. And if I had to do that first, I already messed it up, because as soon as I started doing the thumb is when it got all weird again. So my guess is that it wanted me to do the pattern of the second round if I was working in the pattern, if the second round of thumb wants me to do the opposite of that. So let me see if I can redeem myself without ripping it out, because I am not doing that. Let me look ahead here. Okay, I don't think I can mess it up if I just make sure that I'm doing the opposite of what I need now. So mine is, the first one's gonna look weird because I am gonna have like a ridge where it's just garter stitch, because that's not what the pattern was. The pattern versus what the pattern was telling me is different. So we're learning now as I go. Let me do what I need to do for the pattern. Actually, let's leave it at that because we are running out of time, and this was a super long video because I did the battery switch and everything, so we will actually do that next time. But if you're watching this in the series, just stick around for tomorrow and we'll continue on with this one. Bye!